Okay, so Acha ji. So, what was your question in the paper? The question in your paper was to analyze the following suicide note of Asadun Munir, identify and elaborate the linguistic evidences which make this suicide note. Uh, it says linguistic
Sorry, ma'am, we can
evidence.
now listen carefully. Well, there is a background noise, ma'am.
Wait, what is the background noise? Can you identify what
I
kind
don't
of
know. Can
noise?
you just tell everyone to switch it off the mic?
Is it fine now?
No, there is still. I think someone has just didn't mute their microphone.
No, no, the microphones, all microphones are off. All microphones are off.
Now, ma'am, it's clear. There is no noise.
Maybe the noise, maybe Saeed, you are facing some kind of problem with your device because the rest of them are saying it's fine.
All right, maybe there is a noise still, but it's okay, ma'am. No problem.
Okay.
I'll handle it.
Okay. So the question was to identify and elaborate the linguistic evidences which make this suicide note a true or fabricated one. Right. So the question was actually related to the linguistic evidences, right? It was related to the linguistic evidences which make this suicide note true or fabricated one. It means that you are supposed to identify those uh, areas within linguistics, means within language, which made it fabricated or a true one. However, you all have given statement related to what he was saying in the in the suicide note, right? Now the problem with your answers, all of you have, all of you have done this mistake and all of you have committed this mistake, is that your answers were all related to the explanation of what the person was saying, the content. Fine, content has to do with the why are they coming late to the class? Okay. Yes, content has to do something with the with your answer, because content is also important when it comes to prove that whether a suicide note is true or false, because the things you state, the way you state them, also means a lot. For example, if someone says that it was a coward's way, means, someone calling the someone calling um, oneself coward is not true, because you cannot as when you're committing suicide, you cannot state that you are coward, because as a person who's committing suicide will never say that, I am coward. So this is a content, and this content is analyzed over here. So you were supposed to analyze everything which was related to linguistic evidences, right? But what you all did was that you explained what was written in the suicide note, and also what was where is this? Where is the first page? It's not here. Yeah. Okay. And secondly, you all copied what was there available on the websites, like news channel is stating something. You can support your argument by stating those whatever the news channels are saying. But you as a linguist, when you are handed over this piece of information, that you have to find whether this was a fake suicide note, or fabricated one, or whether it was true, you have to keep this thing in your mind. And if you remember, in the very beginning, when we had classes in campus, I discussed it with you all. We had some exercises as well in the class, where we looked at the words, where we compared one statement with the other, And I was thinking that you all would do that, but none of you, did this, because you don't have any text through to which you can compare his conversation. But on internet, you could see that his conversations on his account, his Twitter account is already available, which is written communication, as well as give me a minute, please.
Ma'am, your voice is not properly. Hello, hello.
Okay. Are you all here?
Ma'am, I think there's
Yes,
something
ma'am.
else with your voice.
Please switch off
Yes,
your mic.
ma'am.
From last 10 minutes, I didn't heard a single word from you.
Please switch off your mic. Okay. So can you see the screen where I have shared his Twitter account with you all?
No, ma'am. We just see the paper.
Ma'am, exactly.
Okay, wait, let me share it with you.
Ma'am, we cannot see the material written over there.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll read it out. Can you see the Twitter account now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If you see, we have this Twitter account, and in this Twitter account, we can see that there is a lot of write-up that he has done, and I have told you time and again, and we have discussed it in lectures as well, that whenever we have this problem of authorship, we always compare it and try to compare it with the known writings, because you didn't have the known writings of Asad Munir. So Twitter account was a place where his writings were available to you all. And if you could have opened it and compared it with the known writings. Now, when it is the problem of authorship, then it's fine. You may need a comparison, right? But if there is if there is a suicide note where there is no known writing available to you, you don't know who wrote it, or if there is a ransom note, right? Ransom note where or blackmailing note where there is no known writings to which you can compare the person, then you're working completely blindly there, right? So when you are working completely blindly there, what you do is that you try to pick points, like you try to identify demographic details from that, just the way you did in this text, that from his writing you can see that he is a very a knowledgeable person because he is educated, so his writing is very formal. He has used like commas and full stop completely, they are correctly used. So all these things show that he is, this is something which is demographic. Like you can see that his education wise, you can see that his writing is very formal, and this is how for people write in formal context, and that's the way he has addressed everyone, right? So you can see that, can't hear. Why, Binish? Please, someone help Binish through text and tell her that to switch on and switch off her mic. So you can see this. I have, I was checking your papers. I wanted to show you, but now it's not loading. I don't know why. There are different, threads or text that Asad Munir has used in his Twitter account. And if you compare that text, and if you have your mobiles, if you could please open your papers, if you cannot see the screen, or as Shima said that, it's not visible to you all. So if you could please open it, if he has given these quotations, if you can see, can you see the screen? These quotes that he has given are exact quotes. It means that this is not his own writing. This is not what he has written himself, because it is in inverted commas, right? So this is not his writing. What we can do is that we can find a text where he has written things by himself. If you can see this, right, you can see that he has written all this like comma, in spite of the fact that there were two Pashtun families, couriers from Shangla, and in the way he has this composed this message that he's saying, look at this conversation. Similarly, look at this conversation, the way he has written this conversation. You can see that it is very formal writing. You can also see that he has, within these formal structures, he has used don't, short form of the verb. And if you see, let me share the other screen with you where there's paper. If you see here, we can also see similar instances of similar instances of the language, the way he has used. Can you see this didn't?
Yes, ma'am.
In the mid of this formal conversation, he is using didn't. And then you see NAB and AB, he has not used, longer construction. He has directly came to the short form of the words. And same goes here in this screen as well. Where is this? Yes, here. Same goes, and it's similar with his conversation that he has written conversation that he has done in this place. See that OBL, he ISI, he already expects the people to know what are the short forms, and that is what he has done in his writings as well. These are similarities. He has used a lot
Yes,
of
ma'am.
commas. If you can see, he has used a lot of commas over there, and same is the case that he is using a lot of commas there in his conversation. I'll show you the instances over there in the text as well. Then there is this third similarity, that he elongates the sentence where it is not required. Like you can end the sentence very easily over here, but if you see, he has put comma, and then he has put comma, and then he has continued the sentence where he could start a new sentence, but he didn't, right? And I'll show you that he extends the sentence similarly here as well. If I show you, can you see? Can you see the screen? See this in this conversation. If you see, he has continuously extended what he wanted to say. My life in the hope that you, the Honorable Chief Justice, will bring positive changes in the system where incompetent. Like he is life and honor and he is continuously using commas, and he is, see, he is extending it. Can you see? At same time,
Yes.
see, semicolon, and then extending the sentence, and then again saying they had, they were. Like you can see the similarities, linguistic similarities in both texts.
Yes, ma'am.
Like this is
Yes,
written
ma'am.
by him. You cannot deny that it is written, is not written by him. You can see the instances through the linguistic, linguistically speaking, the way he uses so a lot. I don't know if I can find it in the, because when I was preparing for your for checking your papers at that time, I studied it as well. So if you can see the screen, and I hope there is like use of so that he like he uses a lot. So can you see the screen of Twitter account?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you see here, you'll find the instances of so here, as well as the can you see this these words that he has merged together through commas, like those who are decent, well-mannered, nice, dignified, engaged, and you'll find the similar instances here as well. Let me show
Yes,
you.
ma'am. We see clearly.
Let me show you here. See, my case were incompetent, rude, arrogant, untrained. Can you see the instances that it is, impossible that, this was not written by him? It was written by him, because you can see it in the in his text that he has written as when he was alive, right, in his Twitter account, and see the similarities, drastic similarities. See, drastic similarities. So based on this, just based on these points, we can say that it was written by him. And you'll find not just here, but see here as well. So it's not just once that he has done this, he has done it time and again, right? His writings are like that. His use of that is a lot. Even here in the instances and in this Asad Munir's tweets, as well as there in the not the Urdu ones, obviously we cannot say Urdu ones, but in English ones, right? You can see that there he has done the same thing over here. His conversation was like that. See, again, did the CJP. Now he is expecting everyone to know what is this, and that's what he did in the letter as well. And these are the linguistic evidences. You can also support evidences that were given by by the news channels as well. Like, for example, someone stated in their paper that his wife said that he was depressed, and he committed suicide before that as well. So this is something which is a proof that yes, he was depressed. And you can say, or you all wrote, some of you wrote this point that he was depressed because of and you can see that a person when depressed remembers every date and time. This was a good point that you people wrote. This is a linguistic evidence in relevance with the content, as well as with the psychological background of the person who's writing the text. So when it comes to a text and you're analyzing it, you have to keep all these things in your mind. You have to forget about everything else, every other support that is given to you by, other means. Forget about that. You have to stick to, as a linguist, you have to stick to the linguistic evidence that is there. Did you see how many evidences did I show you that were there?
Yes.
This means that it was written by him. Now, one point that you people share, can you see the screen of that text?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. We see the Twitter account now. For now, still.
Okay, so then if you see this, the rest of the things in the text is just like, don't compare it with the others, but just talking about the text, is the use of I. Like, continuously it begins with I, continuously it begins with my name. Because he feels, as a depressed person, he feels that like he was victim, and that is why he's emphasizing himself throughout the letter, throughout the suicide note. He's emphasizing uh,
Yes,
emphasizing on
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I, like
We
I
notice it.
victim. Yes, many of you identified it, but कि जिन्होंने एक दूसरे से देखा है तो उन्होंने तो सबने लिखा हुआ है I, right? So this was something which was there as well, right? The information, true that it was there. Then the write-up that he has done to the Honorable Chief Justice Sahab, like the way he has addressed him, the only, questionable part of the text is the handwritten part. Because if you look at this handwritten part, I don't know whether he has written it or not, unless and until we don't have handwritten text to compare it with. So we cannot say that it was written by him. Reason being, first of all, that being a Pathan, it is very difficult to say that, a person would write his wife's name on the paper that has to go public. Are you getting my point? We are involving ethnicity over here now.
But ma'am, he was like a sort of liberal person, and he will not mind it. Like the other people will see his wife's name.
That's something which is questionable. I said once again, like I'll say it once again, that it's questionable. We cannot say 100% that this is something, because if someone is so much formal regarding writing the letter, how can he use the same paper that has to go to the authorities and to the Chief Justice with his handwritten note saying his wife's name and then saying everything in Pashto? Something which is which cannot be digested, but it's still questionable. Like, we don't have any proof regarding that. If we are given any known handwritings of Asad Munir, then it is possible to identify it, and then it is possible, as a part of the case, we'll be able to identify it. But this text, as we right now don't have any access to his handwritten text, so we cannot state anything about that right now. Because you think it yourself, how can he write, a person who is so formal in writing the whole note, so formal that he's following each and everything, even typed letter, because typed letter is formal letter. This session is going to end in 10 minutes. Please click, if I'm not done with the session, please click on the same link to rejoin. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, so this very text is questionable. You cannot say that it was written by him or not.
Maybe this suicidal letter was real or fake?
Sorry, the note which is written, this note is truly his writing,
Yes, ma'am. We also write it in paper that it's true, and then we prove some reasons. I don't know it's clear or not, but we try our best.
Yes, you tried your best. Okay, then there is, when you talk about content, so you can also talk about content. You've already talked about it, that he has mentioned each and every detail, and if you can see the sequence of the letter, the way it is written, the first, the address to the Honorable Chief Justice, and then um, and then stating the reasons. If you can see, he has stated the reason first, the reason, the major reason, right? And then slowly and gradually he's coming towards, oh God, and then slowly and gradually he's coming towards, this, um, details of it, what happened, then how many inquiries were happening, and then what is the normal practice that is happening, and then slowly and gradually coming towards this, that I would just like to clear my name, and then I have submitted my assets details to NAB on 14 June 2018. And then he highlights this point over here where we can see that I am committing suicide to avoid humiliation, being handcuffed and paraded in front of the media. Now we can see that here at this point, he states his intention. The intention means something that he is going to do in reaction to what is happening over here, what he has already mentioned, the reasons that he has already mentioned, right? And then he goes on. He goes on and states that there was only one person who didn't humiliate me, or sorry, someone wants to say something. Mic is on and off, I don't know. Okay, and then slowly and gradually towards the outcome of it, that how it's going to help, all the citizens, right? So you can see this this gradual change from very general, and then coming towards very specific, the reason, and then again coming towards overall benefit that everyone else is going to get from that. There are two outcomes that we can take from that. The first one is that the person was really in the depressed state. Oh, my internet connection is unstable. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the first reason is that the first outcome can be that he was truly depressed, because a depressed person would always go in sequence. He was a professional, but still his sequence content, the way he has given the content, is not in sequence yet. There you can see that it goes from first stating the reasons, and then saying that I'm going to commit suicide, and then stating that there was one person who didn't do it like that, and then coming towards the overall benefit of everyone. These are the things which show that he was in a state, in a mental state, which can be labeled as something which is not sane, or maybe you can say depressed state, right? Or this could be the reason that at the time when he was committing suicide, he was in a pressure, because obviously when you are taking your life, you are pressurized at that time. You have some kind of anxiety and pressure at that time when you are committing suicide, right? Or there could be a possibility that either this pressure was because of what he was he was committing suicide, or there is a very little chance that this suicide note was written or typed by him, but it was it was forced writing. Maybe someone was forcing him to write it, that's why it is not written like that. But many of you have stated that there was a very his home had security and no one else can enter. I don't know from where you have got that information, but probably on internet. So keeping that in mind, we can say that this was not the case. So concluding that it was truly a suicide note written by Asad Munir, and it wasn't something which was fabricated. I hope you know how to analyze a text now.
Ma'am, there is one other prospect of this.
What? What?
Hello,
Ganesh?
ma'am.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Ma'am, uh, ma'am, we can see that he was more open towards that war on terror issues. So we can quite openly see that in the recent times there was state-sponsored killing and murders that happened to such people.
Yes.
So can we see it through that lens?
Yes, you can. We can say that, but when we look at the text, regardless of what is happening, in the person's life, we see that this was not the case.
Like, ma'am, you said that it maybe he write it under pressure of
Yes,
someone.
yes, yes, yes. But there is this little chance of the content that we can say, because when you are writing, because obviously then you have other things involved in that, where you have uh, other things in, I mean to say, the things which are happening, for example, you said that the security is okay, the security of the house was okay. Was he outside the home? Where was he when he committed his wife was there with him? If there was something like that, they could have reported it, but there was no such reportings. Out of
Sure, ma'am.
nowhere, this point came, and there was a suicide note. So just keeping this, letter in mind, and as a linguist, when looking at this letter, we can say that it was his writing, and you can compare it with his known writing. Now the question is, I'm left with 2 minutes in this session. Please rejoin if I'm not done. For example, there is no known writing of the person. Then what are you going to do? If there is a ransom note, or if there is a, not suicide note, but if there is a blackmailing note, someone has sent blackmailing note to you, you don't know who that person is, right? You have no idea who that person is. You don't know who sent that. So how are you going to analyze that text? You're going to analyze it based on that scenario, based on that case which you are analyzing. Right? So for example, what are you going to do? I gave you an assignment as well. I don't know if you people have done it properly or not, but um, it was to generate a profile of a person who wrote ransom note. What was the age of the person? What would be the, what is the education of the person? What From which background do you think the person belongs? Even if the person is educated, so where do you label him or her? Because if you can see this letter, none of my students can write such letter, even if they try, because he was experienced, he was on a professional level of that. So even in writing, there is, in education, there is this professional level, and there is people who are not professional at professional level. So you have to keep these things in mind, and you have to take help from the text. So linguistic evidence is important, right? You can see the intentions of the person when writing a letter. For example, the intention in this letter is to clear his name, right? It was not because it will be an honor to the citizens. No, they will give honor and life to, no, it wasn't that. The reason was, no one commits suicide because because it's for everyone. No, the reason was that he was trying to clear himself,